Steph Curry just picked up a big endorsement.
But it's not from a company looking to sell its product.
Los Angeles Lakers legend Magic Johnson was asked by ESPN's Stephen A. Smith on Tuesday to name 5 current NBA players that would have been able to play during Michael Jordan's era.
That's really easy for me, Johnson said. We start with LeBron James, then KD, Kevin Durant, no question. I mean, that guy can score in any era, right? And I think Steph Curry could still shoot the way he's shooting right now because I love watching Steph Curry play. And I think I would probably take Anthony Davis and the Greek freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Those guys could definitely play in the era that I was in, and other guys as well.
Considering just a week ago, former Lakers center Shaquille O'Neal claimed the Warriors of the last 5 years wouldn't be a contender during his era and that he would lay out Curry, Magic's words are a big deal.
Run and Plays podcast, listen to the latest episode.
Some might argue that Curry is too small to have played in Jordan's era. But remember, Detroit Pistons great Isaiah Thomas, who famously feuded with MJ, was 2 inches shorter and 10 pounds lighter than Curry.
Thomas was a 12-time NBA All-Star, 2-time NBA champion and earned a spot in the Hall of Fame.
Related, GM, Curry, Draymond could play with MJ.
And Curry is plenty tough enough to play in that era.
If Magic Johnson believes Curry could thrive in the 1980s and 1990s, then you can write it in stone. End of debate. Sorry, Shaq.
Shaquille O'Neal recently argued that the NBA should cancel the remainder of the current season, suggesting that whichever team was crowned champion in a shortened or altered playoff format would have an asterisk next to its achievement. Whether he is correct in that opinion or not, you can be sure there are plenty of people who share it.
However, it's important to remember that not all asterisks are created equal.
Injuries happen. They're an inherent aspect of sports. To argue that an injury should produce an asterisk is the ultimate loser mentality, as if injury risk isn't equally shared by all those in participation. The Houston Rockets and their fans can cry all they want about putting an asterisk next to the Warriors' victory in the 2017-18 Western Conference Finals due to Chris Paul missing the final 2 games with a hamstring injury, but in doing so, they conveniently leave out the fact that Andre Iguodala sat out the final 4 games of that series. You can't have it both ways.
Asterisks should be reserved for situations in which cheating occurs, or when a team or player receives a distinct competitive advantage for something outside of the stated rules of game. The Houston Astros sign stealing. Yep, that would qualify in my opinion. Apparently Rob Manfred disagrees.
Bleacher Report's NBA staff recently produced what it believes are the league's 8 biggest asterisks since 1990, but the legitimacy of the asterisk definitely varies by each individual case. The Sacramento Kings losing to the Los Angeles Lakers in the 2002 Western Conference Finals carries far more deserved asterisk potential for instance than, say, the Rockets winning back-to-back titles in the mid-90s while Michael Jordan was playing baseball.
Of the 8 nominees, 2 involve the Warriors, though one is far more deserving of an asterisk than the other.
Run and Plays podcast, listen to the latest episode.
First, let's begin with the one that doesn't deserve one whatsoever.
Just like there isn't an asterisk on the Warriors series victory in the 2017-18 Western Conference Finals, there isn't one on the 2016-17 Western Conference Finals either, nor should there be. Bleacher Report's Sean Highkeen, however, disagrees.
When Zaza Pachulia stepped under Kawhi Leonard 4 minutes into the third quarter of Game 1 of the 2017 Western Conference Finals, causing him to re-injure his ankle, it didn't just swing that series, it had widespread implications around the league, Highkeen wrote. The Spurs had a 21-point lead over the Warriors when Leonard went down, and without him, they collapsed and lost the game. From then on, without their best player, San Antonio had no shot, and Golden State easily swept the next 3 games to reach the finals, wherein they beat the Cavaliers in 5 games to win their second championship in 3 years.
Leonard is a phenomenal player, and Highkeen is correct in recounting that the Spurs had the Warriors in a deep hole early in Game 1 of the series prior to being injured. But last I checked, there are 4 quarters in an NBA game, and playoff series are a best-of-7 format. Even if Leonard doesn't get hurt and the Spurs win Game 1, they still have to beat the 2016-17 Warriors, arguably the greatest team of all time, 3 more times.
That team went 16-1 on its way to the title. Get that asterisk the hell out of here.
The other nominee that involves the Warriors, the Cleveland Cavaliers' 2016 title, certainly is more deserving of an asterisk than the first, but even still, it probably falls short of the requirements.
Fresh off a 73-9 campaign and armed with the league MVP in Steph Curry, the Warriors looked demonstrably stronger after Games 1 and 2, which they won by a combined 48 points, the greatest such number through the first 2 games of any finals, Bleacher Report's Preston Ellis wrote. But near the end of the Warriors' Game 4 victory, LeBron James and Draymond Green got into an altercation. Green's groin swipe was upgraded to a flagrant foul, which resulted in a suspension, while James was issued a technical foul for his clothesline and step over.
Should the two have earned matching technical fouls, Green, who then wouldn't have accrued enough flagrant points in the postseason to trigger an automatic suspension, would have suited up for Game 5 and could have helped close the series in Oakland, Ellis continued. Instead, Andrew Bogut left a 3-point game early in the third quarter with a knee injury, and the Cavaliers ran away with a 15-point victory.
In furthering the case for an asterisk, Ellis also made mention of Curry's ejection in Game 6, which was the result of several questionable calls. And while he is correct that in almost any other situation, you would expect the punishments to be handed out equally between players, that's never going to be the case when it comes to the biggest superstar in the league, nor has it ever been. Yes, the punishment distribution was questionable at best, but Green put himself in a position to be suspended with all of the flagrant points he accrued prior to that game.
Did Curry get hosed on some calls in Game 6? Absolutely. But what else do you expect in a clinching scenario on the road?
Related, this random formula says Rockets deserving to win title.
The fact of the matter is, though the officials didn't exactly help them out, the Warriors had multiple opportunities to avoid blowing a 3-1 series lead. They didn't. They lost. Then they got Kevin Durant.
No asterisk. No complaints.
Quinn Cook was far more emphatic, but he and former teammate Draymond Green were in agreement. Both believed having a healthy Kevin Durant would have allowed the Warriors to beat the Toronto Raptors in the 2019 NBA Finals.
Danny Green, a member of the title-winning Raptors, isn't so sure.
His reasoning? Green can speak from experience about losing a dominant small forward to injury in a playoff series, as the San Antonio Spurs did against the Warriors during the 2017 playoffs.
What about the Spurs team where we were up 25 points and Kawhi gets hurt in the third quarter? Green posed on Tuesday's episode of Complex's Load Management podcast. There's a lot of what-ifs. Quote,
Run and Plays podcast, listen to the latest episode.
Green and Leonard's Spurs led by as many as 25 points in Game 1 of the 2017 Western Conference Finals, leading by 23 after then Warriors big man Zaza Pachulia sent Leonard to the line for 2 made free throws. Leonard injured his ankle after landing on Pachulia's foot, missing the remainder of Game 1 and the series. The Warriors fully erased the 23-point deficit with Leonard sidelined, taking the lead for good with just over 4 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. Golden State wouldn't lose a game in the West Finals, sweeping San Antonio out of the postseason. The Spurs already were missing then point guard Tony Parker in Game 1, and Leonard's absence proved to be too much to overcome. Still, the Warriors wouldn't lose a game until Game 4 of the 2017 NBA Finals, and it took massive performances from LeBron James and Kyrie Irving just to nick a game off Durant's Golden State. Could the Spurs really have beaten the Warriors, whose combined regular season and playoff win percentage that year .838 is topped only by the 1995-96 Chicago Bulls? Green unsurprisingly liked San Antonio's chances. We were playing pretty well, man, Green said. We had a good shot, and if we get Game 1, it changes a lot of guys' attitudes, their body language. You could see it in their body language before the first half ended. KD and them didn't look happy. Related, Chris explains how he'd feel if Warriors draft Wiseman. The Warriors saw firsthand last year that Leonard, the 2019 Finals MVP, doesn't need to be fully healthy in order to dominate. If Leonard's healthy enough to play in 2017, it's fair to assume the Spurs take, at least, one game off the Warriors.
Anything more than that? We'll never know the answer, but that won't stop scorned Spurs fans, and former players, from wondering.